The rain hammered down on the cracked sidewalk of West Side Chicago like God's own judgment, turning the alley into a river of regret. Ethan Hayes, 16 and trembling, pressed his back against the cold brick wall, blood trickling warm from the split above his eye, mixing with the downpour that soaked his flannel shirt to the bone. "You're no son of mine." His father's voice echoed one last time from the idling truck's open window, before the taillights swallowed into the storm, leaving Ethan alone with the thunder, and the shattering truth that love could bleed out faster than any wound. Ethan didn't remember stumbling home that night, or how he ended up curled on the stoop of Mrs. Kowalski's brownstone, 3 blocks from the alley where his world had cracked open. The old Polish widow found him at dawn. His lips blue from the chill, whispering half-formed pleas for his mom to come back, to say it was all a nightmare. She didn't call the cops. God, no, not in this neighborhood where blue uniforms meant more trouble than help. Instead, she dragged him inside, wrapped him in a quilt that smelled of mothballs and pierogies, and phoned her nephew, a social worker down in Pilsen. "Kid's got fire in him," she told the ER doc later, as they stitched up the gash from his dad's ring. "But fire needs kindling, or it burns out." The hospital discharged him to a group home in Englewood, a squat brick building that reeked of institutional cleaner and broken dreams. Ethan shared a room with 4 other boys, runaways, foster kids, the discarded sons of the South Side. He kept his head down, his fists clenched under the thin blanket, replaying the fight in his head like a bad loop on VHS. It started over dinner, his mom's meatloaf going cold as he finally spat it out. "I'm gay. Okay? I like boys." His father's fork clattered, eyes narrowing like storm clouds. The slap came first, then the ring, then the shove out the door with a duffel of his clothes and a curse that still echoed, "Don't come back queer." In the group home, Ethan learned to armor up. He aced his GED at the community center, volunteered at the local library to escape the chaos, and saved every penny from bagging groceries at the Jewelosco. By 18, he was out. First job at a coffee shop in Wicker Park, slinging lattes to hipsters who tipped in pity smiles. That's where he met Javier Ruiz, the barista with the easy laugh and tattoos snaking up his forearms like vines claiming a fence. Javi was 22, a community college dropout studying graphic design online, with eyes like polished obsidian and a habit of humming old salsa tunes while steaming milk. "You look like you could use a real cup," he'd said on Ethan's first shift, sliding him a caramel macchiato with extra foam. Not that watered-down corporate crap. Ethan had blushed, fumbling the saucer, his heart doing a traitorous flip. No one had looked at him like that since, well, ever. Javi didn't push, didn't pry about the scar above Ethan's eye or the way he flinched at raised voices. Instead, they fell into rhythm, closing shifts turning into late-night walks along the 606 trail, sharing stories under the string lights of dive bars. Javi talked about his abuela in Little Village, her tamales that could mend a broken soul. Ethan confessed fragments of his own fracture, the truck taillights fading into rain. One humid July evening, as fireflies blinked like hesitant stars over the trail, Javi stopped under a willow tree and cupped Ethan's face. "You're not broken, you know that?" His thumb traced the scar, gentle as a prayer. Then their lips met, soft, tentative, tasting of salt and summer. And Ethan felt something bloom in his chest, fragile but fierce, like the first green shoot after a Chicago winter. They moved in together 6 months later, a 1-bedroom walk-up in Logan Square with peeling wallpaper and a fire escape that doubled as their balcony. Javi's art cluttered the walls, posters for queer film fests, murals of Aztec warriors kissing under rainbows. Ethan enrolled at DePaul, majoring in urban studies, driven by a quiet fury to understand why cities like theirs chewed up kids like him and spat out statistics. "We fix what's broken," he'd say, poring over case studies of redlining and youth homelessness. Javi would grin, tossing a balled-up sock. "Starting with this dump." Life wasn't perfect. Bills stacked like Jenga, arguments over Javi's late nights gigging as a DJ. But it was theirs. Ethan graduated top of his class, landing an internship at the Mayor's Office of Equity, drafting reports on LGBTQ+ youth services. Javi's designs caught eyes. He started freelancing for local nonprofits, his bold lines capturing protests and pride parades. They hosted game nights with friends from the scene, drag queens belting show tunes, activists debating policy over cheap beer. For the first time, Ethan felt anchored, not adrift. But anchors can rust. It started small. A city council vote getting funding for queer youth shelters, the kind that might have saved 16-year-old Ethan. He poured himself into advocacy, testifying at hearings in City Hall's echoing chambers, his voice steady despite the knot in his throat. "These aren't numbers," he'd say, facing suits who shifted in their leather chairs. "They're kids left bleeding in alleys because the system failed them." Javi was there every time, squeezing his hand in the back row, whispering, "You're changing the game, mi amor." Pride that year felt like victory. Parade floats thumping bass down Halsted, Ethan and Javi arm in arm, rainbow flags whipping in the wind. They made love that night on their lumpy mattress, slow and reverent, bodies mapping each other's scars like sacred text. Then came the call from Mrs. Kowalski, her voice frail over the crackle of the line. "Ethan, Mijo, it's your ma. She's not well. Hospital in Berwyn. Thought you should know." He hadn't spoken to his parents in 7 years, not since the abandonment suit he'd filed at 19. Pro bono through a legal aid clinic, more catharsis than conquest. The judge had ordered minimal child support arrears, but his dad contested it, calling him a drama queen in court papers. Ethan won barely, but the check never came. They were ghosts, faded Polaroids in a drawer he never opened. He went anyway, Javi driving the hour out to the suburbs, the skyline shrinking in the rear view like a dream deferred. The hospital room smelled of bleach and wilted lilies. His mother lay pale against starched sheets, tubes snaking like accusations. His father hovered in the corner, grizzled and shrunken, avoiding Ethan's gaze. "Ethan," she whispered, hand trembling toward him. We were wrong. So wrong." Words stuck in his throat, a dam against the flood. He nodded, mechanical, and left after 10 minutes. The drive back silence save for Javi's quiet humming. "You don't owe them shit," Javi said finally, pulling into a McDonald's lot. Ethan nodded again, but the scar itched, a phantom throb. Work ramped up. Ethan spearheaded a task force on youth homelessness, his reports landing on the mayor's desk. Whispers spread. The kid from the West Side was a rising star. Invites poured in, panels at the Art Institute, fundraisers in the Gold Coast. Javi beamed at every toast, but Ethan caught the flicker in his eyes, the way he'd scroll job listings late at night. "You're pulling away." Ethan confronted him one October evening, rain lashing the windows like old memories. Javi sighed, running a hand through his curls. "It's not that. This city's eating you alive. And me? I'm just the sidekick." "You're not. I got an offer. Design firm in LA. Remote start, but it's big." The air thickened. Ethan wanted to rage, to beg, but all he managed was, "Go if you need to." Pride, his old armor, cracking. Javi didn't go. Not then. But the seed was planted, doubt weaving through their days like ivy. Winter hit hard, snow blanketing the city in white lies. Ethan's task force uncovered rot. Corruption in shelter contracts, council members pocketing grants meant for kids like him. He leaked a memo to the Tribune, anonymous, but his fingerprints were all over it. The story broke like thunder, headlines screaming, "Chicago's homeless youth scandal." Retaliation came swift. His boss called him in, face grim. "Lay low, Ethan. These are powerful people." But Ethan couldn't. He rallied allies, activists from Brave Space Alliance, lawyers from Lambda Legal. Protests swelled outside City Hall, chants echoing off marble pillars. "No more bleeding kids." Javi stood with him, sign hoisted high. "Restore what's stolen." That night, as they warmed up with hot toddies, Javi pulled him close. "I love you, you know, even when you're a stubborn ass." Ethan laughed, the sound rusty but real. "Love you too, sidekick." Spring thawed the ice, but not the chill in the air. Ethan's mother passed in April, a quiet funeral in a Berwyn cemetery. He went alone, standing at the grave as rain pattered on the casket. His father muttering condolences like apologies too late. "She wanted you to have this?" the old man said, pressing a locket into his palm. His baby photo inside, innocent and unscarred. Driving back, Ethan hurled it into the dash, the crack echoing like that long-ago ring. The scandal peaked in May, a special hearing where Ethan testified again, this time under the glare of TV cameras. "At 16, my parents left me bleeding in an alley," he said, voice steady as steel. "The city did nothing. Today, we demand restitution, not just money but justice. Programs funded. Shelters built. Voices heard." The room erupted. Applause from the gallery, hisses from the dais. Javi watched from home, texting thumbs-up emojis. But as Ethan stepped into the hall, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. "You think you're a hero? Watch your back." Threats. Anonymous emails. Tires slashed. Ethan brushed them off, but Javi didn't. "This is too much," he said over dinner, fork pushing peas like accusations. "You're not invincible. I'm fighting for us, for kids like me. And what about us? I turn 30 next month, and we're still scraping by." The fight escalated, words like shrapnel. Javi stormed out, crashing at a friend's. Ethan paced the empty apartment, walls closing in, the fire escape mocking him with its view of a city that took more than it gave. He woke to a text at 3 a.m. "I'm sorry. Coming home. Let's talk." Relief flooded him, hot and humiliating. But when Javi walked in at dawn, eyes red-rimmed, he wasn't alone. Trailing him was Marcus Hale, the slick counsel aide from the hearings, 35, Ivy League polish, the kind of guy who networked at rooftop bars. "This is Marcus," Javi said, voice flat. "He's helping with the firm offer. LA's real." Ethan's stomach dropped. "Helping how?" Marcus extended a hand, smile all teeth. "Javier's talent is wasted here. I'm scouting for the agency, perks, relocation. Thought I'd meet the boyfriend." The word landed like a slap. Boyfriend. As if they were casual, disposable. That night, after Marcus left with a wink and a business card, Ethan confronted Javi in the kitchen, steam from the kettle fogging the air. "Is this about the fight? Or him?" Javi's shoulders slumped. "It's everything. You, the city, this endless grind. Marcus gets it, sees a future. And I don't. You see a war. The dam broke then." Tears hot on Ethan's cheeks. "I see us. Or I thought I did." Javi reached for him, but Ethan pulled back. "I need space," Javi whispered, grabbing his keys. The door clicked shut, softer than any slam, but it echoed louder than thunder. Summer scorched Chicago, the lakefront a haze of heat and heartbreak. Ethan threw himself into the fight, the task force morphing into a full-blown coalition. Restore Chicago Youth. Allies multiplied. Faith leaders from Bronzeville churches. Tech bros from the Loop pledging apps for shelter tracking. Even a rogue alderman flipping sides after the polls shifted. Ethan's face graced op-eds in the Sun-Times, his scar a badge under studio lights. From victim to victor, one headline read, and he hated how it simplified the ache. Javi moved out officially in June, subletting a studio in Ukrainian village. They met for coffee once a week. Awkward silences over iced Americanos, updates like weather reports. "Marcus is great," Javi said one afternoon, stirring sugar he didn't need. "Pushing for that LA gig." Ethan nodded, throat tight. "Happy for you." But he wasn't. Nights alone, he'd scroll Javi's Instagram. Gigs in steamy clubs, Marcus's arms slung casual over his shoulder in a beach selfie from a weekend in Saugatuck. Betrayal wasn't a knife. It was a slow poison, seeping into dreams where Javi's laugh echoed without him. Work became salvation. The coalition uncovered more. A slush fund tied to Ethan's own father, who'd parlayed his union job into council consulting gigs, skimming from youth programs. The old man, it turned out, had been in the room where deals died. Literally, contracts for shelters he'd helped bury to line pockets. Ethan stared at the ledger printouts in his cubicle, the numbers blurring. His dad, the man who'd bloodied him, profiting off the very kids abandoned like trash. Rage crystallized into resolve. He subpoenaed records, looped in the feds quietly through back channels. "This isn't personal," he told his mentor, a grizzled civil rights vet named Lena. "It's justice." Lena arched a brow over her bifocals. "Everything's personal, baby. But swing hard." Protests swelled into marches, rainbow banners clashing with barricades. Ethan led chants from the steps of the Daily Center, voice hoarse but unbreaking. "What they stole, we reclaim." Javi showed up once, uninvited, standing at the crowd's edge in a faded White Sox cap. Their eyes met across the sea of faces, regret in Javi's, resolve in Ethan's. He turned away, the crowd carrying him forward. Then the betrayal hit like a sucker punch. Marcus Hale wasn't just scouting talent, he was a plant. A leaked email chain surfaced on a whistleblower site. Council directives to infiltrate and discredit the coalition. Marcus tasked with cozying up to key players. Javi's name dotted the margins. Leverage Ruiz's access to Hayes. Ethan confronted him at a taqueria in Pilsen, the one with the Virgin Mary mural watching like a judge. Javi arrived late, smelling of cologne and lies. "It's not what you think. Show me your phone." Ethan held out his hand, steady despite the tremor in his chest. Javi hesitated, then handed it over. Text scrolled. "Keep him off balance. Dinner Friday?" From Marcus. Javi's reply, "Yeah, need the distraction anyway." The world tilted. "You let him use you? To use me?" Javi's face crumpled. "I was pissed, okay? At you, at us." He made it sound like strategy. For the cause. Strategy. Ethan's laugh was bitter, raw. "You slept with him, Javi, while I was bleeding out here, fighting for scraps." Javi flinched. "It was once. A mistake. I ended it. Once is enough." Ethan shoved the phone back, standing so fast the chair scraped like a scream. "Get out." He walked the streets after Lake Michigan, a dark mirror under street lamps. Betrayal layered on abandonment. Parents' blood. Lover's deceit. By dawn, he was at Lena's door, coffee in hand, eyes hollow. "We go public. All of it." The press conference was a powder keg. Ethan at the podium in Grant Park, wind whipping his notes, cameras flashing like accusations. Councilman Hale's aide infiltrated our ranks, seduced a loved one to sabotage us. But we won't break. We demand audits, resignations, and a youth restoration fund. Billions returned to the streets. Gasps rippled, then chaos. Reporters shouted questions. Javi, somewhere in the crowd, slipped away unseen. Ethan's father called that night, voice slurred over whiskey. "You trying to ruin me, boy? After everything. Everything." Ethan gripped the receiver, knuckles white. "You ruined me first." The line went dead. Fall leaves turned the city to fire, but the blaze was in the streets. Hearings dragged into November, testimonies piling like indictments. Ethan testified last, the chamber packed. Activists shoulder to shoulder, his dad in the back row, face ashen. "At 16, my blood stained a West Side alley," Ethan said, meeting every eye. "My parents drove away. The city profited. Today we end that cycle." Climax built like a storm. Leaks confirmed the slush fund. Millions diverted, shelters shuttered. Aldermen resigned in droves. The mayor, cornered, pledged reforms. Ethan's dad faced charges, embezzlement, fraud, his union ties unraveling like cheap thread. Through it all, Javi tried to bridge the chasm. Flowers at the office, voicemails raw with pleas. "I was wrong. Let me make it right." Ethan deleted them, but kept one photo. Their first kiss under the willow, tucked in his wallet like a talisman. Thanksgiving loomed. The city hunkered against early snow. Ethan volunteered at a shelter in Humboldt Park, serving turkey to kids with eyes too old for their faces. One boy, 14 and wiry, tugged his sleeve. "You the guy from TV? The one who don't quit?" Ethan knelt, smiling faint. "Yeah. What's your name?" "Joey. They kicked me out last month. Said I was different." The word hung, a echo. Ethan pulled him into a hug, quick and fierce. You're not, and you're safe here. That night, alone in the walk-up, Ethan cracked open a beer and dialed Javi. Come over, please. The door opened to snowflakes on lashes, Javi's breath clouding the air. No words at first, just arms wrapping tight, apologies murmured into hair. I fucked up, Javi said, pulling back. But I love you. Always have. Ethan traced his jaw, thumb lingering on the pulse. Prove it. Stay. Fight with me. Javi nodded, tears carving tracks. I'm in. They made amends slow. Nights talking till dawn. Javi burning his LA contract in the sink, a ritual of ash and renewal. The coalition thrived, the fund seeded with seized assets. Ethan's dad took a plea, community service in the very shelters he'd starved. No forgiveness there, just a nod at sentencing. Rotten all along. Winter solstice brought the vote. City council, packed gallery, Ethan and Javi hand in hand in the front row. The bill passed 42-8. The Ethan Hayes Youth Restoration Act, $500 million over 5 years for shelters, counseling, family reconciliation programs. Cheers erupted, hugs rippling like waves. Outside, under flurries, Javi kissed him deep, the city lights haloing them. You did it. We did. But victory tasted bittersweet. Joey, the shelter kid, vanished days later. Runaway, they said, back to streets that swallowed whole. Ethan searched, posters on poles, calls to tips lines. Nothing. Spring bloomed tentative, cherry blossoms dusting the mag mile. Ethan and Javi adopted a rescue mutt, a scruffy terrier named Scar, who slept between them like a furry mediator. Javi's designs fueled coalition campaigns, billboards of resilient faces, tagline, reclaim your city. Yet doubt lingered, a shadow at edges. Marcus resurfaced in whispers. A new job in Springfield, spinning tales of misunderstandings. Javi tensed at mentions, but Ethan squeezed his hand. Past is past. Graduation came for Ethan, masters in public policy, cap tassel swinging like a pendulum. Javi threw the party on the fire escape, string lights and empanadas, friends toasting under stars. Lena pulled him aside, champagne flute raised. Proud of you, kid. But remember, healing ain't linear. He nodded, watching Javi laugh with a drag queen, heart full but wary. Summer heat waves warped the air, and with it the first real test. A letter arrived, certified, from his father's lawyer. Parole hearing in 6 months. Character witnesses requested. Ethan's hands shook opening it, the paper crisp as judgment. Write it, Javi urged over breakfast, Scar begging scraps. Or don't. Your call. Ethan wrote. Not absolution, but truth. The alley, the blood, the years rebuilding from rubble. He stole my childhood, he penned, but I reclaimed my life. The hearing was in a sterile county building, fluorescent hum like bees. His dad shuffled in chains, older than memory, eyes downcast. Ethan spoke from a script, voice even, I don't forgive, but I choose mercy, for the boy he was, before he became this. The board nodded, parole denied. His dad met his gaze then, a flicker of something. Gratitude? Shame? Before guards led him away. Outside, Javi waited, arms open, strong as hell. Home that night, they lay tangled, breaths sinking like old habit. Think it'll stick? Javi murmured, fingers tracing Ethan's scar. The fight? Yeah. We'll make it. Autumn winds stripped the trees bare, mirroring the raw edges of Ethan's soul. The Restoration Act rolled out pilots, 3 new shelters, 1 in each scarred neighborhood. West Side, South Side, Uptown. Ethan oversaw the groundbreaking in Englewood, the group home's shadow looming like a ghost. Shovels bit earth, kids from the coalition clutching hard hats too big. Their cheers a bomb. Javi thrived too, his freelance firm partnering with the city for murals. Walls in Boys Town exploding in color, queer icons intertwined with Chicago grit. Art as activism, he called it. Paint smudged on his cheek during unveilings. Ethan snapped photos, the click a vow to remember joy. But cracks spiderwebbed. Funding fights in council. Old guard digging heels. Amendments watering down mandates. Ethan lobbied late. Dinners cold when he dragged home. Javi's patience frayed. Arguments reignited over forgotten anniversaries. Javi's eyes distant. "You're married to the mission," he accused one November night, frost etching the windows. "And you're not." Ethan shot back, voice cracking. "We built this together." Javi sighed, sinking to the couch. "I did. But now, it's you and the city. Where's the room for us?" The question hung, unanswered. Therapy followed, couple sessions in a Wicker Park office, the counselor's neutral tones probing wounds. "Betrayal erodes trust," she said, as Javi shifted. "Rebuild brick by brick." They tried. Date nights at the Green Mill, jazz saxophone weaving through smoke. Weekends upstate at a cabin, lake water lapping like confessions. Scar bounded between them, oblivious uniters. Progress flickered, Javi opening about his own fears, the immigrant kid's dread of instability. Ethan admitting the scar's itch, a trigger for control. Holiday lights twinkled early, a distraction from the chill. The coalition hosted a gala at the Field Museum. Dinosaurs looming over tuxedos, toasts to resilience. Ethan keynote, words polished. "We restore not just buildings, but bonds. From bleeding to belonging." Applause thundered. Javi's hand found his under-the-table warm anchor. Later, on the museum steps, snow-dusting shoulders, Javi knelt with a ring, simple tungsten, etched with a willow leaf. "Marry me? Not for show. For us." Tears blurred the facets. "Yes?" Ethan whispered, pulling him up into a kiss that tasted of forever. Engagement buzzed the scene, brunches with mimosas, registry lists for Le Creuset and shelter donations. But winter storms brewed darker. Joey resurfaced. A tip line call tracing him to a squat in Rogers Park, half-frozen and hollow-eyed. Ethan drove through blizzard, Javi shotgun with blankets. The building reeked of damp and despair. Joey huddled in a sleeping bag amid graffiti prayers. "Thought no one cared," he mumbled, accepting the thermos of soup. "We do," Ethan said, wrapping him in wool. "Always." Joey entered the program, counseling, job training, a room with a real bed. His turnaround fueled PSAs, face blurred but story sharp. "I was left bleeding. They brought me back." Spring surged with weddings plans, venue hunt in Millennium Park, vows drafted on napkins. But conflict crested in April, a council audit revealing shortfalls. Millions misallocated, fingers pointing to insiders. Whispers implicated Lena's deputy. A mole, feeding intel to holdouts. Ethan uncovered it, late nights cross-referencing ledgers. The betrayal stung fresh, echoing Marcus, Javi's ghost. "How many times?" he muttered to his reflection, scar livid under bathroom light. Confrontation in Lena's office, the deputy crumbling under glare. "It was just survival," he pleaded. "Bills, man." "Survival on whose backs?" Ethan roared, slamming files. Lena fired him on spot, but damage rippled. Delays in shelter builds, donors wavering. Javi held him through the rage, body heat chasing chills. "You're the steady one. Don't let it take you." But it gnawed. Memorial Day weekend, they escaped to Saugatuck. Dunes and dunes, like a sapphire promise. They made love under stars, urgent and tender, reaffirming in whispers. "You're my home," Javi breathed, fingers interlaced. Back in the city, climax loomed. The full council vote on expanding the act, billions at stake. Opponents rallied, suburban donors. Church lobbies decrying agenda. Threats escalated. Slashed tires on coalition vans. Ethan's email hacked with slurs. He beefed security, but paranoia seeped. One muggy June Eve, walking home from a strategy session. Shadows detached from alleys. Footsteps echoed, 3 figures, hooded, closing fast. "Freak!" One snarled, fist connecting with Ethan's jaw. He fought dirty, knee to groin, elbow to throat, years of Southside survival kicking in. But numbers overwhelmed. A boot to ribs, crack of bone. Blood pooled, warm and familiar, vision tunneling. Sirens wailed distant, then near. Javi's face swam into focus at the ER, pale as sheets. Ethan, God. Handled it? Ethan croaked, for dripping mercy. Cops called it a hate crime, but Ethan knew. Message from the old guard, knuckles white on power. The assault galvanized, protests swelled tenfold. National eyes on Chicago. CNN crews camped City Hall. Celebs tweeted solidarity. Javi never left his side, sleeping in vinyl chairs, sketching protest art on napkins. Recovery was grit. Ribs taped, jaw wired shut for weeks. Javi pureed soups scar-curled at feet. My warrior, Javi teased, feeding him spoonsful. But in quiet hours, doubt crept. What if it's too much? Ethan confessed, mirror showing bruises fading slow. The fight, the scars. Javi cupped his face, gentle. Then we pivot. Together. The vote day dawned electric. July heat wave. Gallery overflowing. Ethan wheeled in, bruises yellowing, voice amplified. They tried to break me again. Failed. Pass this bill for every kid left bleeding. Eyes thundered 45-5. Cheers deafened. Confetti rained like redemption. Javi kissed him fierce, cameras catching the moment. Front page love. Summer waned in triumph, weddings set for September. But humanistic threads wove deeper. Ethan's dad, out on bond, sent a letter. No excuses, just amends. I stole your trust, can't give it back. But I'm volunteering at the West Side shelter. For you. Ethan burned it, but kept the ash in an urn, symbol of release. Javi's mural unveiling capped the season. A West Side wall, Ethan at center. Young, bleeding, rising phoenix-winged, embraced by a lover's shadow. Dedication plaque. To restoring what was stolen. Love, most of all. Crowd gathered, Joey emceeing, voice steady. This city's got heart. We prove it. September air hummed with harvest gold. The wedding a mosaic of their worlds. Ceremony in the 606 garden. Under willows heavy with memory. Javi in linen suit. Ethan in tailored gray. Scars hidden but honored. Vows exchanged soft. In alleys and audits I choose you. Rings slid home simple as promises. Reception spilled into Logan Square. Food trucks slinging gourmet tacos. A queer mariachi band fusing salsa with soul. Lena toasted raucous. To love that fights dirty and wins clean. Dances blurred into night. Scar sporting a bow tie. Joey cutting rugs with abandon. Honeymoon was low-key. Train to New York. Wandering village streets hand in hand. Broadway lights a counterpoint to Chicago grit. Our sequel, Javi joked, hailing cabs. Ethan laughed free, the weight lifting incremental. Back home, life layered richer. The act expanded, national model, grants flowing to peer cities. Ethan consulted for D.C., but rooted deep. Adjunct prof at UIC, teaching urban justice to wide-eyed undergrads. Javi's firm boomed, murals commissioned coast to coast. But home remained the walk-up. Fire escaped their throne. Challenges persisted, humanistic in their mess. A shelter kid overdosed. Relapse after family rejection. Sending Ethan spiraling. We can't save them all, Javi soothed, holding him through sobs. We try, Ethan whispered. That's the point. Betrayal's echo faded, but trust rebuilt deliberate. Annual retreats to the cabin, therapy check-ins, date jars of scribbled prompts. Kiss in the rain. Tell me a fear. Winter wrap gentle, holidays hybrid. Javi's abuela's posada blending with Ethan's makeshift tree. Ornaments of protest pins and pride beads. His dad appeared once. Uninvited at the shelter volunteer fair. Apron stained with soup. Eyes met across steam tables. Ethan nodded curt. A bridge half-built. Forgive? The old man asked later, voice gravel. Not yet, Ethan said. Maybe never. But peace? Working on it. Spring unfurled petitions for federal expansion. Ethan testifying in Senate hearings. Scar a silent witness under C-SPAN glare. Javi live tweeted from home. Restoration trending. Climax revisited in Summer Swelter. A class action suit against the city. Survivors like Joey suing for decades neglect. Ethan co-counseled. Depositions dredging old wounds. Alleys revisited. Blood described in legalese. One plaintiff, a trans teen, broke mid-testimony. They left me dying. You made me live. Verdict. $2 billion settlement. Funds earmarked eternal. City Hall bowed. Plaques renamed. Hayes Ruiz Centers. Love etched in bronze. Fall leaves danced as they adopted. Not a kid yet, but fostering Joey part-time. His room a haven of comics and counseling. Families chosen, Joey said, hugging fierce. Like you guys. Thanksgiving gathered them. Abuela's table groaning. Lena debating policy. Scar underfoot. Toast circled, to scars that story, to loves that linger. Ethan watched Javi carve turkey. Laugh lines deepening. Heart swell. 10 years from the alley, the city had restored. Not just dollars, but dignity. Programs pulsed. Kids sheltered. Voices amplified. His parents' theft? Repaid in ripples. A legacy of light. New Year's Eve. Fire escape vigil. Champagne fizzing under stars. To more, Javi said, clinking glasses. Always more, Ethan replied, kiss sealing it. The rain that fell was soft, cleansing, not judgment, but grace. Chicago breathed, resilient as its sons, bleeding no more. In the end, it wasn't triumph or tragedy, but the quiet humanism of holding on. Through betrayals mended, conflicts forged to bridges, emotions deep as Lake Michigan. They walked the city arm in arm, scars badges of battles won. Love the ultimate reclamation. What they stole at 16, Ethan reclaimed at 36, not vengeance but victory. A whole city restored. A whole life embraced.